Did we just get some leaked photos of Spirit Halloween 2025 animatronics? Well, let's talk about that. What's up, Honors? I hope you're all having an awesome day. So of course, just the other day on either Friday or Saturday, we got some new leaked photos of Spirit Halloween 2025 Halloween stuff. Or at least I think we did. Of course, looking through these photos that we did get, it's hard to say if they are ones from last year that just feature prototype animatronics in them, or if it's photos from this year that feature new animatronics. It's really hard to say. But anyways, I still want to talk about these because even if they're not for 2025, they show us some prototype animatronics at least, which look really cool and I think are worth talking about. So yeah, right here I was able to get 5 different photos that were circulating around the other day. And then of course I also want to end off the video with talk about the Sinister Strawman and Mutant sewer rat boxes that someone saw at flagship, which I didn't really get a chance to talk about yet. I only really talked about them shortly in a short. So anyways, today we're going to be checking out all these photos, sort of speculating for what they could mean for this year or just overall what these photos reveal. So anyways, that's enough talking for the intro. Let's get into talking about these awesome photos that got leaked. So of course, getting into the images right here, I will say that some of them we don't necessarily see any new stuff for 2025. Of course, some of the photos right here just seem to have stuff from last year, which could mean that maybe some of these photos are ones from last year that we're just seeing now. But yeah, either way, I think they're still worth talking about and just speculating what they could mean if these are new photos. But anyways, the first photo we have right here is of course of the Gravestone Ghoul, which, if you don't remember him, is this pretty cool animatronic from last year. Is a somewhat forgettable one because he wasn't in the ISC, he was just an inbox only. But of course, he had a bunch of cool features like Outdoor Raid, that cool tombstone from him, and a really good look to him. I love that. And pretty much all this photo could be revealing is maybe he is gonna return for this year. Maybe they'll even have him in the ISC, but yeah, I don't know. This makes me think that's more of just an older photo from last year since he is an animatronic from last year, but either way, still cool to see him again, and yeah, it's kind of interesting just seeing him here in the back of the Spirit Halloween flagship store. But anyways, getting into the next photo right here, this is where it gets really cool because right here we can see a prototype for the new Nun animatronic, which is supposedly going to be released this year. Of course, right here you can see the animatronic on the side right there, which overall this thing looks like it's going to be insane. Of course, the Nun herself, you know, it's nothing too crazy, just what we get, of course, from the movie. See, she has like a face on there, her hands, and just the black clothing. But what is really cool about this prototype is the really cool animation, which I don't think has ever really been used. I know for Emmeline, they've used a similar animation to make it jump out, but I think that was quite a bit different from this one. This right here looks like a very interesting design. It looks like that scissor lift type of mech. But instead this one looks like it's only meant to go like out. It's not supposed to jump up or like forward and out. You know, this one looks like it's mainly supposed to go like only out, which is kind of interesting. And yeah, I don't think we've seen an animatronic, at least not one in retail. There's probably professional ones, of course, but that have a mech like this. So overall, this is very interesting to see right here. And of course, this is probably a prototype right here, so when this does, of course, get released, they're probably gonna, like, change some stuff about it. We might not get this exact animation, but overall, I assume Techie probably did this, and I'd love to see this used for some other animatronics, because this would be a perfect mech for a jumpscare animatronic, of course. Like, this looks really cool, and yeah, it's gonna be cool to see it used for the Nun animatronic if this is released, but yeah, it's interesting. Then, of course, for this photo right here, you can see Dagger Mike, which could mean, of course, he's returning, or maybe not, but that seems cool to see. And, of course, there's potential that this is an older prototype. These photos could be from last year, but yeah, I'm so hopeful this is photos from this year because this will be a cool animatronic to see released. Anyways, moving on to the next photo right here, though, we have what could be the Sinister Strawman. Of course, right here is a prototype version of that concept art we got from Techie about a year or two ago, which is of this pumpkin version of the Mr. Dark animatronic. Which, if you don't remember, the Mr. Dark guys, they've been quite a few over the years, like Hellspawn, Tower and Tallulah. And pretty much these animatronics, you know, they're just the ones that sort of like jump up really tall. They start off at like 4 foot, then they jump up to 9 foot. Really awesome. It looks like we could be getting a new pumpkin variant this year, which is really awesome. I love the look of this guy right there. Like the pumpkin head right there, it's sort of like in this skeletal shape. I love that. He's got these big claws, you know, the clothing on looks great and everything. Overall, a solid animatronic. Of course, this one too, it could be a prototype. It looks very similar to the sort of like concept art we got, so this is probably a first version of it. Looks like it may even have a tag on and everything, so yeah, probably just a prototype version, but this guy could be that new Sinister Strawman we've heard about, which is going to be a reskin of Mr. Dark. This guy could be what that guy looks like, or maybe the final version they went more of a Scarecrow vibe, but either ways, this guy's really cool. He looks like a really awesome prototype, and yeah, it's gonna be awesome to hopefully see this guy released because, yeah, I'd love to see this guy in stores. Anyways, carrying on, the next photo we have right here is just some stuff from last year. This, of course, could also be an older photo. But, of course, we can see 5 different animatronics here from last year. We have Giant Death Ray, Tyrant Tallulah, Nibbles, Con Candy, and the Cremator. I'm just realizing that we also have Barnaby the Bear squeezed in there. So, yeah, overall, I'm pretty sure that these are all animatronics from last year. You know, these are all ones that were, of course, in the display. So, that's why I think the photo is old. It was probably taken when they're like set up the ISC and they were putting all their animatronics in or something, but either way, still cool to see this again. And if this is a new photo, it could mean that maybe we're gonna see these animatronics return, but yeah, I'm pretty sure that these are just photos from last year, but that's that. Anyways, carrying on, this next photo right here, I'm pretty sure it's an old photo, but we've never seen it before. Of course, right here we have this photo, we can see this prototype from 2014 of Tina, which it would be very interesting if this is a newer photo and they're making a new prototype of this animatronic. Because, of course, what that could mean is like 10 years later, they're bringing this back to finally release it, which I think would be really cool. I'm surprised lots of stuff. We've never seen any of these prototypes released like really in the future, but yeah, I'm pretty sure it's an older photo. I think they only made one prototype of this, and I don't think they would bring back this prototype. But still, I want to talk about this because in the background, we can see another animatronic, which we've never necessarily actually heard of this before. It's pretty much this girl right here, which, like, her whole bottom half of her face is ripped off. You can see the top part of the mouth right there, and then the bomb's just all gone. And it looks like such a cool idea for an animatronic. This too, I assume it's something else from 2014 that they're going to potentially sell. Yeah, this prototype right here, this thing looks sick, and yeah, it would be awesome to see these two released this year. They both look like awesome animatronics, but to be honest, I feel like this must be an older photo from around 2014. So anyways, right there's all the photos we got this weekend, but I want to talk about one more right here, which I didn't really have the chance to cover, but this is, of course, of the 2 boxes that someone saw, of course, at the flagship store, which, of course, on the bottom, we can see the box for Sinister Strawman, which does definitely look like he will be a Mr. Dark reskin. Of course, he has that big box, so it looks like the same shape and everything. But the really cool thing that this photo shows is the new Mutant sewer rat. We can basically see a full profile of what this guy's gonna look like, and I've got to say, this thing looks sick right here. Of course, yeah, it's just this big sewer rat guy right here that's in this, like, humanoid shape. It has this really massive rat head right there. He's got the arms sticking out, clothing on him and stuff. Overall, a really unique looking guy. Now, one thing I will say is I wish that they didn't really go with, like, the clothing on him. I wish they just made him, like, a big rat, you know? I feel like the clothing is just a cheap way to make it so you don't have to, like, make all the fur for him and then put all that extra detail in. But still, yeah, this guy looks awesome. Looks like he's going to be a little over 4 foot, so a bit of a smaller guy, but not too bad, you know? He's still this massive rat. Like, a regular rat's so tiny, so it's still a pretty good size for this. But yeah, overall, I can't wait to see this guy. I think he'll definitely be in the ISC, and he'll be a big animatronic for this year from Spirit, but yeah, he looks awesome, and yeah, I can't wait to see this guy in stores. And with all that said, everyone, that of course is it for today's video. Hopefully you did enjoy. Of course, this video here, it's my first video of getting into the summer months, which, if you haven't seen yet, I want to make a bunch of big changes to the channel. I want to sort of improve the editing of my videos. Of course, have a new intro I'm working on that'll be coming soon, and then yeah, just improving the quality of the content for you. Which, to help me with that, of course, I left a link in the description for a form you can fill where, of course, you can leave feedback on the videos. You can tell me what you think needs to improve, videos you didn't like so much from me. Then also just some other stuff like what's a good video I've made recently, just a bunch of stuff that can help me out with figuring out the direction of this channel going into the future. So anyways, big changes will be happening over the summer, and yeah, I'm definitely trying to improve the quality of this content. But anyways, that's going to finish it for today. Hopefully y'all did enjoy. If you did, please make sure to like and subscribe. And of course, I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye.